Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dirty Decibels podcast. My name is Jeff, and tonight I am joined with Talk Me Off on the show. I'm super stoked to have you guys on. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Joining us from Richmond, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
How is life down in Richmond, Virginia at the moment?
Life is good. We're all kind of, hunkered away, and we haven't played a show in a year and a half, so we're just kind of hanging out.
We got vaccinated, so that's good.
Yeah.
We all got vaccinated.
What Christian means is it's been boring as shit.
Yeah. Pretty much the same as Massachusetts, I think.
We've all been bored as hell, so we've just been hanging out in the same house for God knows how long.
Yeah, for sure. It's been really interesting now, starting as everything is very slowly, everyone's like starting to wake up and like come out, and like things are starting to like happen, gears are turning, and I'm always curious as to like just the status of everywhere, like what people's like lives are like, and in terms of music and in terms of that kind of stuff. It's interesting comparing, city to city, like what's been going on. But you guys just released a brand new EP called Abyss. I've been listening to it nonstop for the past couple days. You're welcome.
It makes one of us. So
He's lying. He listened to it a bunch too.
I still listen to it in the car. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. You guys officially released this about two weeks ago now. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 420, because I don't know, record labels always are like, oh, let's release music on a Friday. We're like, how about a Wednesday, because it's the weed holiday, just for fun.
Yeah. It doesn't. There's no rules. It doesn't always have to be a Friday.
Yeah.
Did you guys? So was this a pre-COVID written and or recorded record, or did you guys do this during this whole pandemic throughout the past year? Like when did the record actually get made?
So me and Holly work from home, so we've just been kind of hunkering down, and like we got together a little bit, and we had a couple songs I think before.
I know on my end, I had some stuff like half written, but then being bored, I just wrote more. And I don't know what Ryan's status was with his songs, if he wrote them during quarantine or not.
It was definitely during quarantine. Like when all that shit happened, we got really depressed and like didn't write anything. Like I just like wasn't in the mood to like write at all. And then one day I just like shat out 2 songs and like, well, maybe not one day, but it was like in a span of like a week or two, I shat out these 2 songs and I was like, man, these sound pretty cool. And then I can't remember when we got back to start playing again to learn these. I don't know.
It was a few months into quarantine. We were like, we're lucky that there's only 3 of us, and me and Christian live together, so there's not as much of a risk if we were to practice. Mm-hmm. So, we were all just like, we've got these songs, let's get together, let's see what happens. And then we were like, we got to put this out.
Yeah. It's been so vast, like across the board for different bands. Like some people are like, yeah, we were able to get together to practice in a certain way, or like, I haven't met anybody who's been able to try to practice virtually. I mean, I just don't think it's just not realistic unless you're like the Foo Fighters and you can pay for whatever kind of software is way better than Zoom to like actually be in real time and like hear each other.
We recorded it actually at the end of September. Because I remember like we were like, oh, we got these cool songs, and like the fest was hitting us all up like, hey, if you guys want to do a live stream for the fest that never was, we're like, sure. Like we're like, let's play just like the new EP in full, because like we recorded it in September with our buddy Pedro, who actually lives down the street from us, and we're like, yeah, man, like we just want to put out these songs, like we just have 5. We want to make the record labels pay a lot of money because it's a 10-inch, and we just want to kind of like send them into the stratosphere. And I don't know, it seems like it was fun, but yeah, we definitely got bored, like we were like, we want to write, and we only get to play one show with the full length. So now we lapped it essentially with like this EP coming out. So we've had almost 2 quarantine releases unintentionally. So
the last show I went to was our release show for Cursed.
Yeah, that's right. Now that I'm thinking about that, I mean, that's crazy. So you guys got one show in, like on that record after
Well, technically two, because we played with Bottle Rocket in Virginia Beach the night before.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was Valentine's Day weekend. We got 2 shows in. So Bottle Rocket and I set up a show here in Richmond, and then we got did quarantine, and then we're like, okay, maybe we can do like a little bit, we can get together safely and do this fest thing and record, and then we put out a record pretty much a year and 2 months later on 420. So it's
how did that's rad. How did the fest thing work? I didn't actually see that, but I remember seeing some people post about it. And I'm just curious from like a nerd technical standpoint, did they how did they bring you, was it actually live, or did they just have everybody record a thing and send it in?
It was all pre-recorded. And
okay.
We have a friend that Christian works with that does video and photo stuff, and he was willing to do it for us. So, we just got it done in a big warehouse setting, so we weren't all close together. And
yeah.
But it was all pre-recorded and then submitted to them, and then they organized it as a show.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So they did it alphabetically, I think. So they were going to have it on one day, just on a Saturday. And then they're like, holy shit, we everybody we asked to do it is so goddamn bored that everybody submitted. So now there's 100 bands. So we're going to have to spread it out over 2 days. So
yeah, I think at that point in time, I was so bummed on it. The summer was kind of coming to an end, and I think people, or at least around here, we let our guard down a little bit over the summer. Things were kind of getting better. It seemed like the numbers had dropped, and we were hanging out in very small groups, outdoors here and there and stuff like that. There was a couple of places that had some music outside or whatever, but it was distance, and then everything got bad again, and everything kind of went downhill again. I feel in the middle of the fall, and I feel I was just super bummed, and I just didn't I was just I can't watch any fest bands right now. It's just gonna make me depressed.
It's I could be drinking a million beers right now at Lucy's, but I'm not in this.
Yeah.
I wish that they had they sent people fest backgrounds. You know what I mean? Print out at Lucy's. Pretend you're actually playing the show or something like that.
Yeah, somebody could be at the Plaza. Somebody could be at the High Dive. Somebody could be at Lucy's. Somebody could be at 8 Seconds or whatever the other place.
Too goddamn many places.
I know. What kind of a space was it down there that you guys recorded in? Is it like a full blown studio, just a project space? Or because it sounds great.
Yeah. So our buddy Pedro plays in this band called Amberetta, and he has a little home studio. So it's literally just a backyard. What would it be called? A mother-in-law?
Yeah, it's a mother-in-law suite that he converted into a studio. But he does it a lot, so it's all pro stuff. It was definitely way more pro than the other releases when we recorded them.
Yeah. So we literally went there and one day we did 5 songs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day we did all the music, the other day we did all the vocals, I think.
Yeah. So it's just a weekend, a little weekender.
Just hammered it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do all our stuff live. So it's usually whatever take you hear on the record is pretty much the first to maybe 5th take of every song that we do. You know what I mean? So everything we record live together, and then we pick the best one, and then we overdub a bunch of shit over it. So
I feel like that style lends itself well to your music too. Cause the number one word for me with your music is catharsis. You guys I don't know very many other bands I can listen to who are writing about some seriously sad shit and get me as pumped as you guys do listening to it. It's fucking it's great. I love it.
That's the goal, right? That's Ryan and Holly. They some bummer shit going on.
But that's my favorite. Bummer shit, sad lyrics or angry lyrics or dark lyrics and music that just gets me as pumped as yours does is my favorite type of combination. But I think that lends itself well to recording live. Bands that record live have a certain kind of energy that they don't want to lose in the studio. Right?
If we could have it my way, they would record a show and we would put that out. I feel we sound best at our shows because it's just I don't know if Ryan feels this way, but I know as a singer, it's hard to get that like pumped up in the studio, you know, like when you're playing a show. So
yeah, I mean, there's no amount of like White Claw you can chug to get that experience, you know.
Yeah.
Live at Charlie's Kitchen 2022.
Right.
We'll put it out.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, like, is that something you guys think like you'd consider doing? Like, would you do a live record? I mean, maybe that's like
I would 100%.
maybe that's down the road for you guys.
I don't know.
Let Ryan answer.
Yeah, as long as I have a pitch correction mic, then yeah.
Oh, stop, Ryan.
Well, you can mix. I mean, you can mix a live record. Like,
Right.
you track a live record, you still mix it. You
Hey,
know?
man, yeah, I'm 110% down then.
There was this, like, I don't know if y'all have heard of it. There's like some record label, I think they're in Florida, and they just put out 7 inches of bands, and it's called like Drunk Something. And what they do is they literally get a band in this.
Drunken Sailor.
No, I forget.
Because there is a label in Florida.
But their whole like shtick is like they get you drunk, and they have you write a new song on the spot, and they have you do a cover, and they record it, and they put it on a 7-inch, and you don't hear it until it comes out.
That's
so
awesome.
So yeah, I've seen like a couple people post that, and I was like, that'd be fucking cool to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, same day we're gonna get drunk, write a song apparently, and cover a song, and you know, like, kind of do it that way. And so I guess that's like as close to live.
It's like the drunk history concept, right?
Yeah,
it's like I worked for a show here in Boston called back before the pandemic called Shitface Shakespeare, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a comedy troupe that does a Shakespeare play in 45 minutes, and they get one cast member drunk before the show. It basically sounds like that kind of shtick, right? Yeah. That's funny. That's rad. I should check that out.
Yeah, I gotta look up what it's called, but it's definitely something in Florida too. Like, of course, they're just like, yeah, go drink some Natty Lights and come over here and record some songs. but
I mean, in general, I totally agree that you guys would be like primed for a live record. That'd be sweet. And then like you invite all your friends to it too, you know, and so then you get like the crowd energy, and like you get some recording of the crowd energy, and it just like feeds into itself. It's like really great. I think that'd be pretty sweet. So you guys tracked it there, and then you mastered it. Would you master it Blasting Room? Where did you get it mastered? I was reading it before.
Yeah, we got it mastered at the Blasting Room. So it's actually kind of funny how that like happened too. Like, so I sent a general like inquiry, you know, and I was like, oh hey, like, how can we get this mastered? You know, like we got 5 songs, and like Bill Stevenson like wrote me back, and I was like, oh cool, man, like, and he like sent me a price, and I was like, oh man, that's like very expensive. And I basically was like, oh, thank you so much. You know, like we're kind of working on a budget with this because like we've blown through the band fund without playing shows or anything like that. So we're like, yeah, like we kind of have a budget. And like in total cool, like Bill Stevenson status, he was like, well, we don't want to like tell bands that they can't do stuff here. So he's like, so what is your budget? Like, we'll just do it for you. And I was like, dude, that's cool as fuck. So yeah, like we had it done by Jason at the Blasting Room. So it turned out really good. And like, we kind of like haven't done that before, and it's kind of like we were stoked on that for sure. But I was like, I don't think I've ever haggled with Bill Stevenson before, so I guess that's like maybe a first and a last, hopefully, you know, like
yeah,
you definitely have to be like, hey, I'm sorry, like we don't have a lot of money, and he's like, no, it's cool, like I'm still kind of punk, you know, like what do you need to do?
That's rad, man. That place is legendary. I mean, that place is like definitely super renowned. So I feel like that's cool. It's cool to know that there are cool people there, you know, involved. Yeah.
I know it's a goal for Ryan to at least play that, or like, you know, record there eventually.
Yeah. Let's get Smart Punk to pay for it.
That's true. We can just put it on their dime, dude.
I think that was always one of OC45's goals too. They talked about that a couple times. They were like, we'd really love to do a record at the Blasting Room. And I'm like, yeah, you and everybody. Definitely.
The whole world.
But no, that's cool. So I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about the writing process for this. I mean, I think it certainly speaks for itself in the lyrics and some of the song titles as to kind of how a lot of us have been feeling this past year. And that's why that's the number one thing I've been curious about with new releases this year is like, did you write the record before the pandemic or did you write the record after the pandemic? Because it frames it in a totally different way to kind of think about the music and like get into it, you know?
Well, the one song that we did the video for, Alone in the Dark, that one just came from me. religion in general has just been pissing me off like completely these last couple years, and it mainly just comes from like, you know, I don't really need religion to have morals or anything like that, and I'm okay with dying and not being an afterlife. That scares some people for some reason, but like I'd be dead, so who cares? You know?
Right.
So that's basically where that comes from. And I mean, thousands of people are dying from COVID, so I guess it gets kind of like relatable, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am laughing about it.
Dude, I think it's healthy, man. It's healthy. It's healthy to be like, you got to laugh so you don't cry in some ways, you know?
Right.
And it's like, it's relevant. Like all of this is super relevant. This has been like the most relevant series of podcast episodes I've done since this pandemic started, talking to people about their music and their art. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like with me, the title track was, I originally had started that before quarantine and wrote it mainly about just my job. Like, I mean, because it's just fucking depressing that we spend 40 hours a week at minimum working to live. I hate it. And then it just kind of made more sense after quarantine. So
Yeah.
I just write when I'm mad. That was my goal with this band, is like, before this I was in a pop punk band and all I sang about was like love songs, and I was like, I just want to be mad all the time, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Do you guys always write well, you obviously don't only write the songs that you each sing on, right? Like you'll trade off lyrics and stuff?
Ryan writes a lot of songs with my vocals.
Yeah, like I try to give Holly more stuff to do vocally in my songs, mainly because I don't really like singing all that much. But yeah, any song that has like the majority is either me or the majority is either Holly, like those that's how you can tell who wrote the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will admit it's a little harder for me to write in Ryan. I like when he screams a lot on my songs because I can't do that super well. But, you know, a lot of my songs are written from, you know, like a female perspective, which is like Counting Digits on this record, you know, is about like just how the country perceives women and their weight and stuff. And I just need Ryan to be back there screaming because he's got a good scream.
Yeah, happy to do it.
The timing of it is really good because, you know, you can look at like a record that was written during all this, and I think a lot of people have struggled with the decision of like, do we put it out in the middle of this and be like one of the bands that is releasing music where like, you know, your audience isn't in its normal place, like, you know, no one's like, you know what I mean? So you're like, I think I've gotten the sense from a lot of people that there's this idea of like, is releasing it now like better in some ways than it would be normally because people are more hyper focused on like the music they're consuming, or could it be worse, or like whatever. And I just feel like it just fits the time of being like super kind of ready to be done with all this, but like fucking terrified of what's coming, you know, at the same time.
And I feel like we definitely, because we get a lot of reach like when we play shows and stuff like that. So we definitely toyed around with the idea of like, should we wait until maybe this is all over so we can like play some shows with it, you know, like when everything kind of comes back safely. But I think we all like made the conscious decision, like, you know, we have something new, we love it. And I think too, with a band, like you don't want to sit on something too long because, you know, I mean, I don't know, I can't really speak for them, but it's like, you know, like if you're a band that's like progressing so much, you don't want to sit on something too long before you release it, because then you're like, I don't even know if I dig those songs anymore, you know, like, or whatever, you know, might pop up. So we kind of toyed around with that idea, but.
I mean, I know for me, you know, like I said, we released Curse last year, and I wasn't like, I feel like on my part of that, I rushed a lot of that record. And when we recorded these songs, I was just so excited. I was like, I think we can get away with putting this out, even though we aren't playing shows, you know, like we'll just have copies for when shows start again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can play shows. You can still play the record live. You know what I mean? Or like to like what you would consider, you know, I guess traditionally touring in support of the record. I mean, that time is still going to come, right? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we put the live stream, we finally put the live stream from Fest on YouTube. So if anyone wants to watch that, it's from beginning to end of just the EP.
Yeah. I was thinking of doing like a double record release. Like, I know we released Cursed and they hate it. But I'm like, hey, like we had 2 quarantine releases. Once we play our first show, we can call it a double record release and just release both records again, you know?
Essentially, yeah, at this point. Yeah. Were a lot of places down in your area, in like the Richmond area, you know, like I know up here there are like a few venues that have been trying to do the live stream thing. I don't know, like what's that been like down there? What's the kind of the sitch with like venues, closed venues and stuff like that?
I haven't seen many live stream venues. Maybe you guys have, but
not really. The Camel was doing it for a little bit, which is like a mid-sized, smaller venue here. They were doing some live stuff and some seated, you know, table shows where you can't go to the bar. There's a server, and like I get that for some genres. I don't want to play a show like that.
Of course not. No.
Yeah. Like I need people like in front of me, and but there was like drive-in shows. Like they turned the baseball field into drive-in shows. Like Guar played a drive-in show.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm sure cars left covered in blood.
Yeah. So you have the car wash after a Guar show as opposed to like ditching your clothes, you know?
Maybe they should just do that from now on. From like, just like we'll play shows, but like you can stay in your car and then nobody gets covered in fucking gross shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There was one of our favorite, and I mean, it wasn't really a venue. It was more of a restaurant than anything, but like Mojo's, our place, one of our favorite spots shut down. And the reason it was one of our favorite places because like me and Holly would go there for drinks when we had like a bad day, but we could also play shows there. And they kind of took a hit with everything going on. And the bummer is that like I feel like some of the venues, like there's definitely been a lot more venues in other areas that have been lost. And the reason I say that is because in Richmond you need to serve food to serve alcohol to have a show. So most of these places kind of double as a restaurant anyway. So they kind of have their own like self-sufficient fundage. You know what I mean? But some places like are just venues in other parts of the country, you know? So it's like all these iconic spots that were like, like that was my favorite venue, you know, like you wouldn't go there for food, but you would go there for a punk show, you know, like, so I feel like that's the difference maybe in Richmond. Like
Wonderland is still open. That's a miracle.
Yeah. And they're doing good. And, you know, like, we're stoked that places are like staying open, but it's just kind of like, like you had to already serve food and alcohol, you know, like there aren't many just like venues, you know?
Yeah.
Except for like the Broadberry, I guess, down here.
They serve food.
They do serve food. So yeah.
They implemented that thing up here after the pandemic started. So they did it like specifically for COVID, like that you had to order food with alcohol or whatever.
It's crazy to see everywhere just jump. You know what I mean? Like, like this is new. Like, how are you going to adapt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I was going to say when you mentioned the drive-in show though, is that like, it makes me jealous of places where like, obviously you guys there's winter in Virginia, but it's a lot shorter and milder than here. So I'm jealous of places in the country where, you know, they can take advantage of the weather too and have more shit outdoors. Like we didn't really have too many drive-in, like I haven't heard of any drive-in shows here in Massachusetts. I'm sure they could have done it in the summertime last summer, but I didn't hear of any specifically. But like, that's the thing you don't think is like, you know, places like in the south parts of the country and stuff like that can at least take advantage of that in a certain sense, which,
and
it's, you know,
it sounds like they were, I mean, at least successful. Like, I mean, they had like a bunch of like it was more like of the like jam variety of bands play, but like, you know, Guar did it. And like, now they're kind of having like shows at like Browns Island and stuff like that. So it's like outside seated pods, you know, and stuff like that. And I even heard, I listened to the one that you did with Daniel, and I know he was talking about like, oh, like music can come back, but no lyrics can be like sung. Like there can't be any singing, you know?
Yeah. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
And it's like, for some genres, sure, that might be fine. Like you maybe don't want anybody to sing, but like for some of it, it's just like, no, there's like no way, you know?
I mean, like going back to Bouncing Souls, like I can't go to a Bouncing Souls show where I'm not covered in people and screaming my heart out. Like,
yeah, and that's never gonna happen. Like I think that thing is a temporary thing. I think they thought like, oh, you could have like you know, like some background dinner jazz or something like that, what like at certain places. And that's the thing, like you said, like those venues where they're doing like seated shows, where there's a server and there's tables, like that only lends itself to like soft jazz or like maybe folk stuff, you know, and like some folk rock stuff or whatever. But like you're not gonna have a punk show there. Obviously, no one's gonna do that.
We were telling Ryan the first pandemic show we saw was when we went to go get vaccinated. There was literally like an orchestra playing and stuff like that. We're like, oh, sick! Like about to open up the pit at the vaccine spot, you know. Like,
well, if there's anything to put people in decent spirits, you know.
I got so excited. I thought it was a speaker, and then the lady giving me my shot was like, the orchestra keeps coming by and playing for us. And I'm like, that's a fucking orchestra. Like, it was cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So you guys covered Youth Brigade, and I always like to ask bands about their biggest influences in like how they write and like why they write and stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys want to chat about that at all.
Well, we were always the band that we were like, we're never going to cover another band. Like we just, that's not our style. We don't want to do it. And then Christian was like, what about this song? And I was like, I like Youth Brigade and like, I definitely hate my fucking life. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys killed it. You knocked it out of the park.
We're still waiting for them to like sue us and never let us play punk rock bowling. So we'll see what happens.
We were talking about covering that back in like 2019, maybe even sooner or earlier than that. Yeah. I think we even learned it before all this shit went down. I think
we did.
I don't think that's like that's not illegal though, right? Like I mean, everybody does that. Like Everybody covers the song and puts it on there.
Pay royalties.
Yeah. Like we did all our royalties and stuff like that. But I was just not, you know, like I was like, oh no, because the funny thing about Youth Brigade is there's no Youth Brigade on Spotify or anything like that. Because I was like, oh, like let's cover this song, and I like looked it up, and I was like, it's not on Spotify, and I was like, had like a like a millennial moment. I was like, oh shit, I guess I got to go to YouTube and find it now. But like, you know, it's kind of like, okay, why is it not on there? Like, did the record label not want to, like give it to Spotify or something like that? So.
Yeah, when we started the band, we had 3 rules, which was no covers, no acoustic, and no encores. And here we are breaking rule number 1.
Hey, that's the only one though.
Yeah,
that's the only one.
Still no encores.
No encores.
No encores. Yeah.
Definitely no acoustic.
Definitely no acoustic. Yeah.
I'm looking out for job security here.
So you guys, so you guys definitely were not stoked on the on all the like pandemic isms of like bands, you know, doing acoustic live streams. And
I mean, I have nothing against it. It's just like it's not really my style. Like I'm not the type of person to, go on the internet and play my guitar, and if I were, I would just play covers. I would just play songs that I really like. I don't think I'd ever play an original like that.
Well, it wouldn't work with this band. Our music is just super aggressive. I think drums are a big part of it too. And, like I enjoyed them though. Like I enjoyed watching some of them. Like, I like pop punk. So pop punk sounds good on acoustic. So yeah. I would say as a band, our biggest influence is stuff like Adolescents, anything like skate punk, like 80s, Southern California. Like I know Ryan's from California. I will be an East Coast girl till the day I die, but I love the skate punk out there. And I feel like, I try and write for my gut and not like I want it to sound like this.
Right.
And it just comes out that way, just fast and short and
to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess musically, I would say NoFX really taught me like theory. Just playing and looking up their tabs and stuff. So they'll always be a huge influence for me. Lyrically, I would say Dr. Frank from Mystery Experience is a huge influence for me. Or the way that he rhymes, his rhyme schemes are just so unreal to me sometimes. And they're not like Greg Graffin from Bad Religion smart, but they're like kind of smart in their own way, even though they're simplistic, if that makes sense. And then, man, I love RKL as well, just skate punk in general. Joey Cape from Lagwagon, really into him and his acoustic and solo stuff.
I should have put up my Adolescents record. I always try to like kind of Easter egg it and stick like different records back here. Like obviously the one that I'm talking about always, but like I'll put like I switch it every episode.
And a nice wine pairing.
Yeah. I always try to like rotate them.
That was one of the last shows that we were supposed to play. We were supposed to play with Bad Cop, and then like everything got the plug pulled on it. Like we had a lot of cool stuff lined up, and like shows were definitely. I feel like that summer for music was gonna be nuts.
I know, it was sad.
And then the world's like, nah, quarantine time. Like, but
yeah, there were so many things I feel like that were on the horizon at the time too. Like, at the venues where I was working up here too, we had a bunch of stuff booked that we were all super stoked about, and it just felt like dominoes, man.
Yeah.
But like I said, like. It's lent itself to art in a really awesome way this past year, and there's been some bangers of records that have come out like yours, and we're all better off in some way for that stuff, which is
I was talking to Holly too, and I was like, I wonder because everybody just got so like inventive with streaming and stuff like that, and like all this kind of stuff. I was like, I wonder if after this there'll be like a surgence of like streaming shows you can't go to, you know what I mean? Like now that if shows are coming back, like say like, oh, there was a show like in California I wanted to see, it's like, well, there's a live stream, you could buy a ticket for like $4, or like something like that, and you could still see like your favorite show.
I feel like that takes the specialness out of it.
It does, but I think that there might be something like that pops up. But
at the very least, I could see there being a lot more shows that just at least get recorded live. Like, you can go on YouTube and you can watch like sets from Austin City Limits and South by Southwest and Fest and all kinds of, not just festivals, whatever. Like you can watch all
my
that
favorite
shit.
one is that Neil Young one, there's this Neil Young one that came out probably like 10 years ago, and it's so good. And I love that, but I just feel like when a tour is happening and it's not just like a one venue, one night event, just buy a ticket.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, I think people are definitely, at least at first, like, I don't see that happen. Like, I think a lot of shows are going to get recorded anyway, but I feel like bands are going to be like, absolutely not. No, we don't want anybody to live stream this. We want people want fucking asses in the venue. Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's coming down the pipe for you guys? Do you think, do you guys have anything on the horizon for coming like prospects of shows or like
Fest
prospects of, are you guys going to play Fest this year?
Yeah, we're on Fest. We don't have anything planned. I think all of us can agree on the fact that we're not in a rush. We miss shows so much, but we'd rather just be patient and do it when it's right and have it be the type of environment we want to be in. So, I mean, I feel like if the way that things are going now with numbers going down, I feel like if shows came through like in the fall, maybe, but I don't know. I'm not like in a rush to get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We finally dialed in our set list again that includes all the new songs. So we're just working on that, making it tight again.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling for me too, because I book some shows occasionally down here. And I talk with Daniel too all the time, and I'm just like, when is it going to be cool? And like, no one wants to rush, you know what I mean? And like, no one wants to put anybody in an unsafe situation. And I think a trend that I've been seeing people kind of tie on to is like, okay, well, maybe like, let's set some tentative dates. And if something comes up by then, we have no allegiance to it. Like, we'll just cancel it immediately, because I feel like that's what everybody's been doing for the past, year and a half. And I just feel bad for people, like, and I know you worked in the industry as well, but, like, it's like their bread and butter, like, what they do is they book shows or they do merch or they're like in the entertainment industry. And it's like that, that's tough not knowing it, like, just so like, cause that's your passion. And it's like, you don't know exactly when that's going to come back, full force. And if it is like half cap, it's like, okay, so now we're making half the money or charging people double,
I think for me, the biggest anxiety is like, I'm scared of things going from zero to 100 overnight again, and like not even being able to get used to just being in rooms with other people first, you know? Like when I think about the amount of times I average that I leave my house on a weekly basis right now, it's still pretty low. So it's like, it's just, I want nothing more than to go back to shows, you know, but I'm also terrified of the fucking world.
And then it's like these shows in LA that I've seen. Oh my God. Like, it's ridiculous, and that's like a full. You
said it perfectly. Christian had a video from an LA show, and it looked like Mad Max.
Yeah, it looked like Mad Max.
There was trash cans on fire. It was outside, trash cans on fire. Hundreds and hundreds of people. Like I was like looking at it, gave me anxiety.
Yeah, it literally is the desert there. So it's like
and
I need to look that up. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'll send you the video. So All Gas, No Brakes even covered it too. You know, and like if you get on that level, because like. He was even doing like Sturgis, you know, like people that don't, you know, give a fuck. And then he like went to go check out the LA punk scene, and people are like doing like, you know, like balloons full of nitrous, and like they're just shooting off fireworks in the air, and like some band is playing and there's like thousands of people, and it's like, yeah, too soon for that. Like, absolutely.
Dude, I feel like they're always blowing shit up out there.
Yeah.
And like with the fucking wildfires, it's like literally the worst place to do that.
Right?
I know, there were trash cans on fire, like it looked like Mad Max, and I was like, y'all are in California.
Yeah.
There's a permanent drought there, like a permanent drought.
COVID, nothing can stop it.
The Dan and I talked all about the Madball show too a little bit. We had a whole thing going about how like just fucking.
I'd just say cringe fest is a good way to describe that.
I mean, do what you want. I'm sorry. If you want to risk it and go do it, then go do it. But what bothers me is that one of the singers or someone in one of the bands posted comparing it, saying that it was their Black Lives Matter. And I was like, whoa, no.
Shit. Yeah, that's like...
It's cringe fest.
That's mega cringe fest. That's like not even...
Yeah. And it's like, no, it's not. It's a bunch of dudes hanging out in Thompson Square seeing Madball play. It's nothing compared to like a movement, like not even fucking close.
Yeah, dude, go fuck yourself, man. That's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you and chatting. The new record is called Abyss. It is the newest EP out from Talk Me Off, and you can get it on Bandcamp, talkmeoff.bandcamp.com. And you can check out their other releases on there, and hopefully, if you're going to Fest, check them out at Fest. If you're braving the inaugural crowds of the first post-pandemic Fest, they will be there.
Right. I don't know. There's Bonnaroo. There's but yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. No, I think Fest is good. I think the crowds at Fest are probably going to be actually some of the most respectful crowds that you will see at a festival, because I seriously feel like the true punks take it seriously. You know what I mean? So
kindness is punk. So if you're a nice person, you'll get it.
Fuck yeah. I wish you guys the best down there. I hope it's fucking rad. So
thank you.
Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be up in Boston soon.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I told Daniel if he books a crazy show at O'Brien's on a Saturday, we'll just drive up for fun.
That'd be fucking rad. Or I mean, eventually, hopefully he'll start booking at Charlie's again too. You know, it's all just a matter of time. But we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. So,
all right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
You too.